I was disappointed by the original Dead Space. I went into it thinking I was going to get a Resident Evil 4 level of horror game, and what I got was good, but it could have been a lot better. The game was too bright, the item economy was all off, and the game was way too easy and wasn't very scary. I enjoyed it, but that was about it. So of course I was going to be cautious going into this remake. It certainly looked the part, and now that I've beaten it, I'm here to answer. Did Dead Space Remake fix the original game's problems? We'll start with my minor gripes from the original. I didn't find it very scary. The rooms were too bright so I could see every enemy that was approaching. But then the remake comes in and smacks me around. I played the first hour or so with headphones and that's all I could manage. The audio is top notch, hearing every footstep around me. Every creak of a pipe sent shivers down my spine. I have 3 levels of playing a horror game. Headphones if it isn't too scary. Headphones with an earbud underneath to listen to a podcast if it's kind of scary. And then no headphones and have to play it out of a speaker because the game is too scary. Dead Space Remake is a no headphone game. So by just the modernization of the lighting, which is some of the best I've ever seen by the way, and then the improved audio, the game is so much scarier. Which is a good thing I guess, but I really didn't like how scared I was. My next issue, and this only becomes apparent after playing Dead Space 2, the narrative wasn't too well fleshed out in the original. There was a few interesting bits like how everything was revolving around the unitologists, but there wasn't enough in the original about them. They overhauled it in the remake, giving deeper side quests to flesh out the narrative and focused more on the unitologists, which was the most interesting part of the narrative. The next thing are the weapons. So in the original, the line gun and the plasma cutter were hands down the best weapons in the game. I experimented with the Ripper and the flamethrower, but they felt awful to use. And the remake fixes this a bit, but it still isn't perfect. Firstly, the weapons generally feel better to use and they're way more impactful. The Ripper was actually useful and so was the Force gun, and they felt so good to use. But the pulse rifle felt weaker in comparison to the original. Ultimately, I think the switch of finding the weapons rather than buying them was a massive win for this game. It makes the moments where you find the weapons a lot more special and also gives you little punishment for experimenting with weapons. Whereas in the original, you had to spend hard-earned credits to try out a new weapon that you mightn't even like in the end, which really discouraged me. The upgrade system is much better too, and there are no longer stupid nodes that don't improve your weapon. Now every node is an improvement, and it's a small but much needed change. The item economy was my biggest gripe with the original, and it's somewhat fixed but still needs a bit more tweaking in my eyes. So in the first game, I had hundreds of bullets for the plasma cutter and loads more for the line gun, so once I was like 20-30% into the game, ammo just wasn't an issue. Add on top of this, enemies being too easy and the game not really scaring me, and you can see why I didn't enjoy the original as much as everyone else. But here, I still had a good bit of ammo, which is something that should happen in action horror games, but never too much that I didn't know what to do with it. The enemies are harder to kill, taking more hits, and also feeling a bit harder to hit. Then add on to it, the game is way scarier with the insane lighting and audio, and it made me miss shots a lot more than the original. In general, it just felt more cohesive as a horror game. There were times when I ran out of bullets for the plasma cutter, which forced me to use the other weapons, whereas in the original, I never ran into this problem. Since I had more weapons, since there was little barrier to getting them, the ammo drop pool was wider, so the game didn't just drop 1 or 2 different ammo types, it dropped every type, giving me a reason to use these weapons when I ran low and taking me out of my comfort zone. I do still wish there was slightly less ammo. Just drop it, say, 10-15% and it would have been perfect. I'd imagine on hard is the sweet spot here, because in the original, even the hardest difficulty was supposedly very easy too. As a package, Dead Space Remake really delivers on pretty much everything. The zero gravity sections are actually fun now. I love that the ship is open, giving it a slight Metroidvania style to it. And of course, the modern lighting and audio makes the Ishimura one of the scariest places to explore. It's easily the best way to play this game, and I would say it's now on the same level as the original Resident Evil 4, which is saying a lot about how good Resident Evil 4 was, that a game that was made in 2023 still is only equal to it. And while I don't doubt their ability, Capcom have an absolutely crazy task at their hand to improve Resident Evil 4.